welcome back. You're listening to WSB Stony Brook 90.1 FM. You just finished listening to The Monsters EP by Picturesque. Right now, we're being joined by the vocalist, Kyle Hollis. How are you doing?
Yeah, what up? I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Very well. So we got a couple questions. Should last like 5-10 minutes. So we're just going to start with a simple one. First, what are your musical preferences, like what you listen to now, and what influenced you?
Now I mostly listen to like ignorant hip hop and just R&B. R&B is fun to sing along with, so that's one of my favorites for sure. But like a lot of the Weekend and like Jeremiah and stuff like that. As far as like influences, just grew up listening to a bunch of old post-hardcore like As Cities Burn, Oceana. Yeah, so those are the what got me into music.
Okay, pretty cool. A big question of mine was because like your voice has like lots of range. I noticed that like on Speak Softly. I was curious, like how did you get yourself to like that level of singing throughout your life?
Man, it was just one of those things. Like I was singing one day and there was something that was weird in my voice that just shifted, and I kept playing with it until I figured out what it was and figured out how to use it, and then it took me about 3 years to figure out how to do it correctly, and then we started this band. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So you just got off a month tour with Our Last Night, Palisades, and Hail to the Sun. This was your first major tour, correct?
Right.
So one of my bigger questions from the tour is, did you like learn anything like major being your first major tour?
Oh, absolutely, man. Because one thing that like I noticed early on is like how commanding all these frontmen were, and like what I had to step up to kind of be to command a crowd and all that kind of stuff. Like Lou is probably one of the most aggressive frontmen in terms of crowd participation, and learned a lot from watching him. Of course, like Our Last Night, they're just like everything's a sing along, and it was really cool just watching how like they got the crowd involved like with the singing parts and not just like jumping around or anything like that. Hail the Sun, they're just, dude, they just showed kind of what musicianship is. They're one of the most talented bands I've ever seen, or luckily we got to tour with them, and you know they're good friends of ours now, I feel like, and yeah, so learned a lot on it.
With the learning, there had to be disadvantages. What did you feel was like probably the worst parts of the tour for your experience?
You know, at first sleeping in the van, like I thought it was going to be rough, but it's not near as bad as I thought it would be, because there was one of the first nights I left the windows open and it was like below freezing temperatures. And so everyone in the van kind of hated me in the morning, but I think that was probably one of the worst things. Like it's really, it's not a bad life, man. As long as you know you drive the speed limits and stuff. But as far as the shows go, I don't think there is anything bad about it. There really isn't.
So the next thing I want to talk about was your upcoming tour with Secrets, Palisades, and Too Close to Touch. I thought it was pretty cool that Too Close to Touch comes from the same town as you do. So I was curious, like, do you guys like know each other, or ever like played before as like smaller like bands like in the scene?
Um, yeah, we've all known each other for a while. Like whenever I graduated high school, I moved to Lexington and played in a band that they were around during the same time frame, but they were another band. But it was kind of weird. Their band, it's pretty much the same members, and they just changed their name. And the only other person from the band that was in Lexington from the first time around was our drummer Cole. And so, like, we've known him for a long time, but never played in the same lineup as any of them. So
Okay. Now I wanted to talk about your Equal Vision Records signing that happened like what, like a month ago, 2 months ago.
I
Actually, it happened a little bit a while ago.
I think we announced in November. I think that's when it was.
So I just wanted to like find out like how was your reaction, because this is like one of the bigger labels now. You know, we came as Romans. I believe Sleeping with Sirens is on there, right?
No, they're not.
Cherka.
Circa was, but yeah.
No, they're not.
Sleeping with Sirens.
Cherka is Coheed. I think they're still on there.
They started on there.
I know the Deer Hunter.
Yeah, they are.
So it's just one of the major labels, and it's pretty much like a big step that can like really help you become something big. So I just wanted to know like what was like you and like all your band members like reactions, your family's reactions.
Dude, I didn't tell my family until we actually like already had the deal done. It was kind of funny. I kept them in the dark because, you know, just one of those things like you hear all these promises and stuff whenever you're starting up in a band, like that, oh, this label's coming out to watch you, or like, oh yeah, we're about to, or we're talking to this label, like, but it all seemed to fall through. And the thing was, Dan actually flew out to our very first show that we played all together and came to watch us. And like, of course, we felt like it was a train wreck, but he enjoyed it, and then sent us an offer, and just pretty much anything that we wanted revised, he was all about. So they really take care of us. But as far as our reactions, dude, we were really thankful for it, because Equal Vision's a really good fit for us for our music. Like they let us do pretty much what we want with it, and it's a really good team we have behind us. Like we're pretty proud to be where we are. So.
And one of the last topics I wanted to talk about is the new EP that we just listened to before, The Monstrous Things. I'm probably going to access to like lots of different bands and musicians, because I think it's like such a vital part to like an album is the art behind it. Like, how did you pick that picture for your album to like represent it?
It was one of those things, like the entire concept of like what the EP is about was like just different headspaces and what's going on like in like basically in my mind at the time, because like I was kind of in a dark place, but the thing was, like, you peer through the eye and you see to what's going on inside a person, and so it seemed really fitting. And I can't remember who did the artwork. I think it was RJ, but anyway, they killed it, and it was a really cool concept, and we rolled with it. It was one of the first things that we decided on, and everybody just was really stoked on it. So yeah, and I think it's something that's really memorable. Like, people see that eye, and it's something that like is gonna stick with people, and that's another reason like we don't feel anybody's gonna forget it. So we went with it. Yeah.
And the next question I have for the EP is, what was your favorite song off it, and like the meaning behind it? I know it's kind of hard to pick a favorite.
Oh, it's all good, man. Unannounced or Monstrous, really. They're both kind of on the same subject, just at a different viewpoint. But it just, like I said or in an AP review, like it's just all about like whenever I was just in a really, really dark place that I just couldn't really get out of for about a year. And they're both just reflections on that, one being an outward thing and the other one being an inward battle. So yeah, so it's hard to pick between those two.
Being this is your first EP, do you feel like you have to improve anything musically? Not saying that it's bad, but anything that you feel like you can improve on?
Oh yeah, dude, there's always things people can improve on. Like some of the things that I want to make sure that we just have more like stronger hooks, just for me at least, just vocal things that I just want it to be catchier, but at the same time, you know, you don't want to lose like what makes your music, and you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
take away from, like, I feel like our music's really relentless, and I don't want to take away from that at the same time. So I like that our music's really big, but at the same time, big is not always catchy. So finding a middle ground is
Mm-hmm.
what I want to do.
And my last question for you is, what are your plans for the future as the band, for the band? Is it to tour by the end of the year, probably go into the studio for like a month, try to write up a new album for a full length?
Yeah, man, that's pretty much the plan. Actually, we're trying to book some time right now. I don't remember exactly when it'll be, but yeah, we'll be entering the studio sometime in the middle of the year again to finish up on what we started. Because we already have most of the album recorded, but we decided to do an EP instead, just to build up a little more of a fan base. And so, yeah, we're just staying on tour, and hopefully we'll get another album out or an album out this year.
Well, that was the last of my questions. Thanks for coming on, Kyle.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Hopefully, we'll talk again in the future soon. Have a nice day.
See you, man.